What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with some more transfer targets. Now we're going to be focusing on central midfielders. We know Spurs' desperate need for some ball playing ability in that centre of the park. I mean, it's been evident for everyone to see, not just this season, but potentially last season as well. But yeah, we've got 6 players that we're going to look at, and looking forward to hearing your opinions. Which one will be the best fit for Tottenham come this January transfer window? First up is my favourite one already, and that is Ruben Neves. Obviously in Saudi with Al Hilal. His contract is up at the end of the season. There's been rumours in the press that he wants to make his way back to the Premier League. He's been linked with the likes of Tottenham, Manchester United, Newcastle, a few other clubs as well, Real Madrid. So how attainable he is, I don't know, but I think he is the most perfect fit for Tottenham in terms of what we need.
I'd absolutely love him. Obviously, he's also Premier League proven as well. He's was a brilliant player for Wolves a few years ago. Plays for his national side, Portugal, regular starter for them. And even though he's gone to Saudi, they still really trust him. If you look at his numbers, unfortunately, they don't have on FBref Saudi numbers. So this is actually just from his last season at Wolves. But in terms of, I don't think he's too much of a different player as he was then to what he is now. And you can see his passing metrics are phenomenal. Just such a great tempo setter, has a lot of touches, very comfortable on the ball in the middle of the park. He's got an incredible passing range. He's got a good long shot on him. He's one of those players who's very good at knitting the play together, but as well, when he needs to have a killer action, a through ball or a cross or a shot, he's more than capable of that as well.
Set pieces. Yeah.
I think he's exactly the type of player we are missing in this midfield. It's just someone who's comfortable on the ball, someone comfortable passing forward in between the lines, and isn't going to be scared to play the ball progressively, which I think a lot of our midfielders are that incapable of, or just aren't told to do it. But either way, I think he takes it up a notch.
Yeah, and you're talking about someone who really knows how to dictate the tempo of a game, aren't you, with Ruben Neves, something that Spurs have just been desperately lacking. And we thought that Rodrigo Bentancur could be able to do that, but his performances are too erratic, too up and down. And I think Ruben Neves would be a massive upgrade in anything that we do have, and adds a profile which we're desperately missing. So. And also a big testament to him is that he is still in that Portuguese squad after going out to Saudi. You've seen so many good players that have gone out to Saudi and lost their place in the national team set up. Well, Ruben Neves obviously hasn't. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo is Cristiano Ronaldo. But Ruben Neves, you know, it could have been a good opportunity for the manager, but, you know, he's a top quality player, so you just can't leave him out. So it'll be interesting to see which kind of team pick him up. But if Spurs can, then we'll be a very lucky team. Any team that gets him, it will be a very lucky team. So he would be my number one choice straight off the bat. Next up, we are going to look at Conor Gallagher, obviously. Spurs have been linked with him ever since the back end of his Chelsea career. Hasn't gone completely according to plan for him at Atletico Madrid. He hasn't started many games this season. Come off the bench in pretty much all the games. But look, at 25 years of age, I still think he's a top quality player. He'll add that bite to our midfield. He's got that passing ability as well. Not as good as someone of like Ruben Neves, but I still think he's an upgrade on what we got.
Yeah, he's not a sitter, obviously. He definitely is very much an all-action midfielder. Likes to get forward, will put his all to get back in position and track back. He's kind of a player who's a bit of a bull in a china shop. He'll be all over the shop in a good way, I mean, not a bad way. And I think he's definitely more suited to like the box-to-box kind of role, but he adds energy. He has a bit more quality on the ball than maybe some of our other players have. Very forward-thinking, always looking to play it forward, albeit key passes metric is fairly low. His progressive passes aren't the highest, but I think he's kind of loose with his passes sometimes. I don't think he's a very careful passer. He can be a bit careless in that sense, but he just adds a bit of chaos and a bit of energy into that midfield, and something that we could do with potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at him compared to like a Ruben Neves. Obviously, we have a more desperate need for someone like Ruben Neves, but I think it's definitely worth saying that he's much better than what we got. And that's the reality.
Yeah, it'll stop us we get bullied sometimes in the middle, and he would stop that, hopefully.
Another player that we're going to look at is Joao Gomez of Wolves. Obviously, he is part of the Wolves team that are 2 points from 17 games so far in the Premier League. I think, he's probably the best player that they've got. 24 years of age, 40 million, part of the Brazil setup as well for the national team, gets called up more often than not. I think he starts fairly regularly for them as well. Look, I think he's a very good player. He's definitely a player that has a bit of bite to him as well. Gets around the pitch pretty well, puts in numerous amounts of challenges. Not sure if he's the player exactly what we need, though.
Yeah, again, he's not really the passing kind of midfielder we need. He's a bit similar to Conor Gallagher in the sense that he runs around a hell of a lot and he puts a lot of tackles in, and he's kind of decent on the ball. He's not like a liability on the ball, but he can be a bit careless as well. Good at ball carrying with the ball as well, with the ball at his feet. I think a metric that Frank will like there is tackles in the middle third in the 95th percentile, because we very much focus on winning the ball back in that centre of the park. That's kind of a big part of our strategy. In fact, I think we're top of the league for tackles in that area. So I think that's something maybe adding Joao Gomez there is something he would appreciate. But does it add up the technical level? Potentially. When you compare him to Pelini and Bentancur, I would say yes. But is he the kind of midfielder who sets the pace of a game? No.
The thing is about Joao Gomez, he is one that is very much attainable, isn't he? Obviously, we know Wolves are all but relegated already. He's definitely, like I mentioned before, their best player. He's definitely got more than enough quality to stay in this league and to play for a fairly decent club. Is he a player that can play for, top 4, top 5 teams in the Premier League right now? I think they've all got better options. But anything after that, I think, he probably gets into any of those teams. So maybe not Newcastle, but look, I think he's a very good player. Villa? Does he get into Villa?
Maybe not.
Do we really want him then? Do we really want him? Look, I think if you would have asked me last season, I probably would have said yes, but I'm just not sure he's exactly what we need. And I prefer to target exactly what we need. We're a ball-playing midfielder, and he's just not that. All right, let's look at his teammate, Brazilian and Wolves teammate, Andre. And if we didn't want Joao Gomez, we probably don't want Andre, because he's another one who's just gets around the pitch a lot, puts in a lot of challenges. I'm not convinced that he's the best passer either. Look, I like him as a player, but again, I don't think he's what we need.
I think he's a bit more of a passer than Joao Gomez. I think he's a lot calmer on the ball. He does pick his passes a lot more carefully, I feel, than Joao Gomez. He's much less of a guy who just runs around a lot. He's more of a sitter than Gomez is. He's more of a defensive player, I feel. So from that sense, I think he's probably more of a fit to what we need. Is he better than Joao Gomez in terms of just as a footballer? I think they're pretty even. I would say Gomez is probably a bit better. But I think in terms of profile, he's probably more what we want. Makes a lot of tackle interceptions. You can see his pass completion rate's pretty high. Has pretty comfortable in the middle third. I think his passing is decent. Is it better than Bentancur and Paulinia's? Probably, but not by much, I would say. So, yeah, I like him. I think he's a good player. Maybe put him in a better side, he'd be better. But at the moment, he's not probably maybe reaching his potential.
Yeah, I mean, he's not one that really excites me and says that we're ready to compete for top 4, top 5, bringing him in the middle of the park. I feel like he's one that will just frustrate the fans equally as much as what we got now, to be honest. But yeah, look, he's a decent player and he definitely should be moving on to Wolves and staying in the Premier League. Next up is a player that I think most of you will like, and that is Kobbie Mainoo of Manchester United. We know that there's a lot of problems with Kobbie Mainoo and Manchester United. Ruben Amorim just doesn't want to give him a go. We knew before Ruben Amorim joined Man United, he was the star and the shining, not the star, but the shining light of Manchester United. Only 20 years of age. It feels like he's older, to be honest, with how long he's been around. 40 million market value. He should be on the market with the way Man United are treating him right now. It seems like he wants to move. It seems like his brother definitely wants him to move with the free Kobbie Mainoo shirts and everything. And if there's an opportunity to sign Kobbie Mainoo, I think you have to take it up, because I think he's just such a top quality player, such a high ceiling. He's got that kind of dribbling ability and the ability to drive through the centre of the park, and I think he's just such a talented player.
Yeah, and I think he's a good passer of the ball as well. He's got good kind of ball manipulation. He kind of works the angles quite well. albeit progressive passes is very low. So does he get the ball forward? Is he too much of a safe passer? That's, I guess, maybe one of the criticisms. But he does come up moments of magic as well. You saw the goals he scored against Liverpool, against Wolves, that in that famous 4-3 game, brilliant last-minute goal. So he does have some quality in his legs. Obviously, he did play for England in that Euro final, and he was a big part of England in that tournament. Like, just his ability just to keep things ticking. I do think off the ball, there are question marks about him. Not to say he's lazy, but maybe it's just a matter of him growing up a bit more and offering a bit more off the ball. Because at the moment, I think he is he up there with some of the better midfielders? No, but I think on the ball, there's such a high ceiling there, and I think he's got really brilliant technical ability.
Be interesting to see if he is actually on the move in January. He has got. Well, they say he's got an injury right now, but I don't think if I buy it completely if he's got an injury, because it's like all of a sudden he gets this injury out of nothing at the exact same time that Bruno Fernandes gets this injury. I don't know, man. Something smells a bit fishy about it, to be honest. And I think Man U have previous of doing stuff like this, particularly under Ruben Amorim. So I think he's one that definitely could be on the move in January. And for some reason, Ruben Amorim just doesn't like him. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a very odd one, especially when he's playing Ugarte, who's absolutely dreadful. Like, if Ugarte is a better option than Mainoo, then I don't know what he's looking at on the training pitch. But yeah, it's a very odd situation.
Yeah. And last but not least, we are going to look at Tottenham fan and Bournemouth player Alex Scott, 22 years of age, 30 million market value. I think he's improving all the time, this guy, Alex Scott. Such a good pass on him as well. He's able to play, or like he said, he's able to play the 6, the 8, the 10. He said he is more of an 8, and that's where he feels the most comfortable. But, you know, it took him a while to settle into Bournemouth, but, you know, injuries as well. He has struggled with over the course of his career there. He was heavily linked to Spurs before he joined Bournemouth. And maybe we missed a trick there, because I think he's got such unbelievable talent.
Yeah, he does. When I compare someone like him to like Archie Gray, I think Scott probably is one who's probably, obviously he's older than Gray, but I think he's got so much ability, Alex Scott, and I think he's in the England squad, isn't he? In the last England squad, yeah. Tuchel really rates him. I think he's got phenomenal talent, lots of energy. I think he's really calmed his game down. When he first came in, he was kind of running at 100 miles an hour. I think he's learned a bit more kind of calmness, but he still has that element where he commits a lot of energy into the game. Again, much more of a ball carrier than a ball passer, which I think
He's got a decent pass on him as well, though.
He's not a bad passer, but I think his biggest strengths come from his carrying. That's what he's in the team for, I feel, at Bournemouth. And Bournemouth obviously play with this lot of chaos, and he's really bought into that, I feel. And he's high pressing and gets into challenges. But I really like him. I really like Alex Scott. I think he'd be a really great player.
I think after Semenyo goes, I think he could be the next big transfer out of Bournemouth. I rate him very highly. And is he one that solves the problems for us in the middle of the park, though?
Probably not, as much as I like him. He's just one who's going to take minutes out of Bergwijn Gray. Now, you can argue he's better than those two, but I think Bergwijn probably has a higher ceiling than him.
When you're looking at all these players, these 6 players that you mentioned, the only one that actually solves our problems is Ruben Neves.
Yeah, probably. Albeit, we could do with one of the other ones potentially to help as well.
Yeah.
Oh, do I see us signing 2 midfielders in this window? Probably not. Do I see us signing 1? I'd hope so, but I don't know. But yeah, it's hard to find those kind of midfielders like of the mould of someone like a Neves. They're not that common. That's the problem.
And that's what we're desperate for. That's what we're so desperate for.
I also think if you sign Neves, I think Paulinho all of a sudden maybe isn't as much of an issue if you play them together.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, out of these 6 midfielders, obviously, you know my thoughts. Ruben Neves would be number 1, and I think for you as well. But if Ruben Neves isn't attainable, which one of these players do you go for?
Maybe Kobbie, because I think he could be moulded into what we want more than maybe some of the other ones.
I would say Scott as well. I think between them two, Kobbie Mainoo and Alex Scott, I believe so much in their talents. I think Alex Scott's actually 2 years older than Kobbie Mainoo, but if you would offer me Alex Scott or Kobbie Mainoo, I would say take your pick. I wouldn't mind which one to sign. Alex Scott, who do you reckon is more expensive out of the two? Probably a similar price, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would say probably Scott, only because he's a big player for Bournemouth right now, and he's just got into the England squad, and he's very important to them. So his stock is really high. Whereas
I reckon
United
both of them around 50 million.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too different. Kobbie obviously is being cast off by Man United. You might be able to get him on a loan deal with an option if they're really not interested in keeping him around. So I think Kobbie might be a bit more attainable.
I'd also be open to Conor Gallagher, to be honest. I think he'll be a great asset for us. Joao Gomez and Andre, not so sure about them now, but the other ones I think would all be great assets for Tottenham Hotspur, to be honest. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who would be your number one target out of the 6 that we have mentioned? If we haven't mentioned anyone, give us a ball-playing midfielder in the comment section below that maybe you thought we had missed out on. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.